Now, it seems to me that if you had to create a Christmas scene based on how perhaps Christmas is presented to us in the media or something, it'd be kind of everyone perhaps in the front room, round the tree, perhaps with a roaring fire. Or perhaps it'd be in the dining room, I don't know, with everyone around the table with crackers and turkey and potatoes. It'd be kind of a picture of joy. Now, I actually asked ChatGPT to create a picture for me of a happy Christmas scene. Happy Christmas scene. And it was a dad with his kids around a tree, and it had snow outside, and the stockings hung up with the chimney. There was a roaring fire. It was exactly what you would expect. And there's just something about Christmas, isn't there, that's meant to bring us together. I don't know, we try and be with family, or we catch up with old friends. Perhaps we go to church together, or we watch a film together. You know, it's harmony. And it's just one of those wonderful blessings of life, isn't it? That and something many of us look forward to. It's Christmas. It's good relationships. They go together. But I wonder, and I don't want to be a downer or anything, but I wonder if our projected image of Christmas, it's actually a bit more like ChatGPT than we'd like to admit. It's all a bit too good, isn't it? A bit too rosy, a bit too glitzy and happy. Because in reality, stresses do come to the surface, don't they? Dividing lines in families become more real. You know, I've experienced those arguments, I don't know, say over the getting that turkey out that just seemed to erupt. Because actually there was a lot more going on under the surface. And the thing is, it's not just with others, it's with me. You know, I've been the one fracturing those relationships. Or perhaps that picture of people together just isn't what Christmas is for you. Actually, it's a really hard time. Perhaps when you're most lonely, most separated from people. A survey a couple of years ago found that 1 in 10 16 to 24-year-olds say that they're often or always lonely. That's the most connected generation digitally, experiences the opposite. And Christmas, however wonderful it is, and it is wonderful, it just can't fix those kind of problems, can it? Instead, weirdly, it kind of seems to do the opposite. It reveals the fractures that are already under the surface, and we try and paint over them with good food and presents, but the cracks just reappear. Some of it's with others, and some of it we know comes out of us. I'm part of the problem. You are too. And each year we try again, don't we? We hope Christmas this year, we're going to make it better. We'll make it more this year. That'll do it. But it doesn't. And we can wonder, is there hope? Hope for peace. Peace in our fractured world. Well, if you just turn back to page 4 with me, to these words from Micah. And we'll see there really is hope for us. Because Micah, he's talking about a king to come. A ruler in Israel, he says. And just see how he finishes. He says, and he shall be their peace. Now that's what we want, isn't it? Peace. Someone to bring peace. Peace in us. Peace between us. To truly bring us to other people. Fellowship, harmony. And you see it promised there, just in the middle of the passage. The rest of his brothers shall return to the people of Israel. This king, he's going to unite his family, people who've drifted, people who've separated, whether unintentionally or not, whether because of a family feud or because of poor communication. He's going to bring them back together. It's peace. And God's message for us this evening is that this king has come. This king who Micah speaks of, he's that baby laid in the manger in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. That baby born to a young lady called Mary, betrothed to a carpenter called Joseph of Nazareth. His name? Jesus. And even in his birth, we begin to see some of the peace that he brings. So as Micah tells, he was born in Bethlehem. Micah describes it as this little town. Too little, Micah says. Here's a king born in a backyard town. Now, I don't want to offend anyone this evening, so I'm not going to pick an equivalent in Aberdeenshire, but I'm sure we can all think of a small town we think is a bit of a nowhere town. But imagine it, the most famous birth there. Now that means, it's a wonderful thing, because that means no one's excluded, not even the too little place. And who do we see coming to that manger? Well, we see the lowly. We see the shepherds, the low-paid workers out in the fields on 0-hour contracts. And we see the rich, wise men bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Two groups you'd perhaps never see together. And those shepherds, well, they're the local boys, Bethlehem, born and bred. And the wise men, well, they've come from miles and miles away, foreigners, strangers. Here around this crib, Jesus is already becoming the peace of a fractured world. Dividing lines are being crossed. The Scot kneels next to the Englishman, the Arab and the Israeli, the conservative and the socialist. Here is peace appearing. Well, how? What is it about this Jesus? Well, the thing about Jesus, his mission goes deeper. That's the key thing I want us to see this evening. His mission always goes deeper than just the fractures and divides of human with human. Jesus goes deeper. He deals with our most fundamental separation, actually the one between us and God. Now, you might think that's not much of a separation between you and God. Some of you perhaps don't even really think he's there. But Jesus' birth, his life and death show us there's more to our world than just what we see. Because he actually shows us, and it's really something we know deep down anyway, but that we're not here by accident. We know life has meaning and purpose. I'm not just here as a mass of chemicals randomly moving around. Now, why is that true? It's because God created life. He put us here. And yet we know God actually hardly gets a look in over Christmas, does he? Tonight might just be it. And so we're made for him, and yet we live like we want to be in charge. Deep down, we've rejected God, rejected his rule, authority, and love. I'm the boss, actually, thank you, God, me. And so our relationships, the way we love and fail to love, the words we say, harsh or untrue, they come out of a heart that should be in a loving peace with our God, our Maker, and yet really aren't. And so somehow in that crib, in that manger, God crosses the most fundamental divide. How? Because that boy in the manger is more than just a boy. He's God with us. We read it in that Matthew passage, Emmanuel, God with us. God has come. God himself in human flesh, as one writer put it, in Jesus, humanity and God meet at peace. Jesus is able to reconcile God to man because he is God and man. Or as an older writer put it poetically, in Jesus Christ, heaven and earth met and kissed one another. Jesus is the peace between mankind and God. Now you might be wondering, well, how does Jesus sorting out God and me sort out all the problems I have with my family and friends? Well, getting to the heart of the problem actually begins to spill out in helping other issues. You know, we find this in lots of relationships. Like, I don't know, when things are difficult at work with your boss, okay, and you can see other tensions arising with your colleagues. You know, you assume the worst of them, or you gossip with them, or you vie for power against them. But you sort out the relationship with the boss, and those others begin to heal too. So as we come to God for forgiveness in Jesus, as we meet God in Jesus, as we return to him as our God, he changes our hearts. We begin to stop trying to be God to those around us, and humility breaks in. Forgiveness, gentleness, in a word, peace. Of course, that doesn't mean the Christian community is perfect. Absolutely not. But it does mean, as we've come to know God in Jesus, he's begun to change us bit by bit, little by little. Jesus' peace begins to take root. And you can see it as you look around you tonight. All sorts of people are here. all because of Jesus. Jesus is our peace in a fractured world.